Mediumship is where my gift really opened and started unexpectedly. That is evidence that life continues on after we pass. But I will get signs from them to know that they're near, that someone was talking to me, but they weren't here. We have a lot of power. You just need to learn how to use it. Welcome to At Home with ChaChaMama. I'm your host, ChaChaMama. This is a podcast of spiritual awakening, of coming home to your heart and exploring the physical, emotional, and the spiritual realms as we awaken. And today I'm going to share a little bit about myself, my journey, and mediumship, which has been really close to my heart for a very long time and a surprise in my journey. For those of you who know me, you know that my name is Jessica Tanzel. I am a medium, I'm a psychic, I'm a shamanic healer, and a medicine woman. I love working in this sacred space of awakening, of spiritual guidance, of tuning into the ethereal. And, you know, the name ChaChaMama was such a beautiful gift of a name that started as Cha-Cha, which is my nickname. I've been going by Cha-Cha for a very long time. When my nephew was 2, I had the opportunity to take care of him for a year while his parents were in Iraq and became his guardian for a year while they were serving. And my mom would help me take care of Jace. Through that time, he would try to say Jessica, and it came out as Cha-Cha. And from that moment on, my mom called me Cha-Cha, and most of the people I know call me Cha-Cha. That name stuck and it has continued forward. And as I began my journey with sacred medicines, with holding ceremonial spaces, I got nicknamed ChaChaMama. And it feels like such a beautiful gift of a nickname that has continued forward. And that is where At Home with ChaChaMama came. I really wanted this space, this podcast, to be a spot where you were welcomed at home, not just here with me, but in your own sacred space. So thank you for being here with me, ChaChaMama. Today I want to talk a little bit about mediumship. Mediumship is where my gift really opened and started unexpectedly. If you listened to the first podcast, you heard a little bit about my story. My mediumship really began when I received a message from Spirit as I was taking a shower. And I had this random thought pop in my head, Jessica, tell your mom I love her, and I'm sorry I wasn't there for her. And my immediate thought was, why would I think that way? And then I knew what had happened. It was very shocking for me that someone was talking to me, but they weren't here. And I'd never had that happen before that I remembered. But as I looked back, as I sat with mediums, as I studied with teachers, I realized that had really been happening my whole life and I didn't realize it. I remember being a kid and laying in bed and putting the covers over my head so I couldn't see a ghost. I didn't understand at that time. It was maybe 8, 9, 10 when this was happening. And I would cover my head because I could feel spirit around me. I didn't know that I was feeling spirit. I just felt like there was a ghost near. I'm going to see a ghost. Oh my gosh. And covered my head. And I would stay under my covers till I fell asleep. And years later, here I am, and I was feeling spirit. And as I began to become aware of my gifts, as a teacher of mine shared, oh, you're a medium, I began to study. And I began to understand how my messages came through. And mediumship really is that connection to spirit. For most evidential mediums, they're connecting to loved ones that have passed away. We're bringing through evidence of your loved one so that you can understand for sure who's coming through and then delivering messages from them. You know, the way spirit speaks, it's not always as clear-cut as it was in my ear that first time. Jessica, tell your mom I love her. It's actually what I like to say is like playing Pictionary with spirit, where they will show me things, I will feel things, I will know things, hear things, even taste and smell come up, and seeing. So we have all of these clairs that come in: the clairvoyance, clairsentience, claircognizance, clairgustance, clairalience, and also clairaudience, which is clear hearing. And so mine came immediately is clairaudience. And from there forward, I was then feeling spirit. I didn't feel comfortable in my room. I was having scary experiences happening. I didn't understand it. So I really shut it down and closed it. And 5 years after the beginning of my journey, when I started studying with teachers, I began to understand how I could communicate with spirit. And it wasn't with my loved ones in the beginning. In the beginning, it was with loved ones for other people because I was learning how to communicate. I remember being in my first class, sitting across from another person and tuning into their energy and bringing through evidence of a loved one. I didn't know them. I didn't know the person in front of me. I didn't know the loved one in spirit, but I was getting information about this person's loved one and able to then deliver a message for them. Then I moved into doing readings, psychic readings, mediumship readings. And as I moved into mediumship readings, I began to study more. I studied with a couple of mediums in Lilydale, New York. I studied with some beautiful teachers at Arthur Findlay in England. And after that, began to understand my gifts even more. I've been on stage a lot of my life. I've been on stage singing, dancing, and acting. And when I went to Arthur Findlay and I signed up for the class, I was just told what class to take. And I signed up for 2 weeks to study with mediums from across the world. And I got there and I'm sitting in class and I meet this teacher. Her name was Mavis Patilla. She's such a beautiful teacher and a great example, such a natural medium. And I had the opportunity to sit in her class for a week. And what I didn't realize was it was for platform mediumship, which is offering readings from the stage, from the platform. So I studied with Mavis for a week doing platform mediumship with many other mediums in our group to offer readings from the stage. And she was so kind to let me know in my first year of mediumship, you have a lot of power. You just need to learn how to use it. And this felt like a really, really beautiful message for me. I was very new. I didn't fully understand it, but I was doing it. It was happening. And I was just tuning in and allowing the information to come to me. As mediums, as intuitives, sometimes we can work too hard or force the information to come through, and that forcing it that puts pressure on that energy. And when there's too much pressure, the energy can't move. When you're expecting specific information, when you're asking for something specific and you're not getting it, you're forcing the energy that you want rather than being open to the energy that spirit is offering. Often when I sit with readings, it's common that people want to hear from a specific person. They want specific information. They want that sign that is very specific to what their loved ones said before they passed. And spirit gives me what they want to give me. When you go sit for a medium reading, your medium is going to tune into your energy. They're going to connect to your energy, and they're going to ask your loved ones to come in. And when your loved ones come in, they're going to deliver evidence about them, what they looked like, what they felt like, taste and smell of things that are familiar. Sometimes tobacco can come through, and they're going to bring through even how they passed, things they went through in their life, things about their personality, so that you know for sure who's coming through to them. And then they'll deliver messages from spirit. Being open in a mediumship reading is very important, because if you go in with one expectation, you can miss this other individual that wants to come through to you. this message that wants to come through to you because you have something set in mind. And also, Spirit knows what you want, what you need, and they're going to give you usually both and definitely what you need. As I've sat in readings for myself, there have been moments when I've gotten every detail that I needed to get. I understood exactly what was coming through for me. And there are moments when I haven't understood what was coming through. I remember having a reading when I was working at the Louisville Spiritualist Center, and I had a reading and I left. I didn't exactly know part of the message that was coming through, and I left. About 5 minutes later, I thought, oh, I know exactly what that is. So sometimes in a reading, things may not make perfect sense, but then you leave and it makes more sense. This actually just happened. I had the opportunity to offer readings from the stage during a Halloween spooky show for the Chicken Coop Theater just last week. And I had someone on stage and I was bringing through the information of a woman and gave some details about her, what she looked like, her height, her hair, the relationship to the person, and also information about working in the kitchen. This woman was always in the kitchen, loved to cook, loved to feed her family, and there were a lot of gatherings. Well, this person didn't understand the information. So I, at this point in my mediumship, know to just set that information aside. I'm going to move into a different part of the reading because this information might make sense later. It also might have been for someone else in the audience. Well, I got a message just the next day that said, I talked to your person. They didn't understand it at first because they didn't spend time in the kitchen. They weren't allowed in the kitchen with their family. That's the culture that they were in. So there was a little bit more that they understood, although we didn't get deep into the reading. And that happens where you can be in a reading and it doesn't make sense right away, but it might later. Definitely in a psychic reading. It would be pretty common in a psychic reading for the information not to make sense yet, because in a psychic reading, you're reading what's coming up, the path that the person I'm reading, what's coming up for them, the highest potential. And that information hasn't happened yet, so it won't make sense. So keeping note of that, writing it down, keeping that in mind, taking the steps that are coming up for you in the reading to keep you on that path for that highest potential in your psychic reading, keeping those things in mind, but continuing forward and allowing things to unfold. Psychic and mediumship can go together, but there are two different entities. The psychic is the reading more of what's coming up, tuning into the person's energy, what's going on, even what's going on in their body. There can be medical intuitiveness that is coming through, or medical mediumship, which is the tuning into spirit, whether it be a loved one, guides, angels. In mediumship, in evidential mediumship, you are tuning into loved ones. You're bringing through evidence so that they know who's coming through. There's not as much evidence when we are talking to guides, the higher self, angels, goddesses, higher dimensional beings. There's not evidence. However, it is a connection to spirit. It is a mediumship. It is a channeling spirit, channeling your psychic ability. All of that is channeling. So mediumship, being that connection to spirit, can look different for each reader as well. And even in the shamanic sense, tuning into the earth, the elements, the nature spirits, the trees, the animals. These are ways of connecting to spirit in the shamanic sense. And shamanism is everything has energy. Everything is alive. We're all connected in the earth, in the elements, in spirit, in our energy. So you have different connections with your channel, and mediumship is just a piece of one. when you're connecting to spirit for yourself. So if you are connecting to spirit and you're wanting to connect to your loved ones and you want to be your own medium, that's the best. I love getting readings. And also now, after all these years of mediumship, and for the past many, many years, I can be my own medium. I still love getting readings. I love getting that information from others. It's very much a confirmation. And I find when I read for other intuitives, the information coming through is often confirmation for them, which helps you to trust your intuition, trust your mediumship even more. And through these years, as I've tuned into my own mediumship, I have been able to trust it more and more and more. And I feel like as you're learning mediumship, you feel like it kind of goes through this phase of like, okay, I'm learning, I'm understanding. And then as you feel confident in it, then you go through another growth spurt where you're not feeling as sure, as confident. And then you become more confident as you build your gift more and more and more. And the more confidence, the more confirmation, the more that you tune into that through daily meditation, through talking to your loved ones, your gift continues to expand. It gets stronger. It does not go away. It doesn't always have to be that you're tuning in to mediumship for others. You really can be your own medium. And your loved ones may talk in different ways. My parents often come through, and sometimes I don't even notice it because they're so close to me often that I don't feel the shift in energy all the time. I do a lot of clairsentience, a lot of feeling of the energy, and I don't always feel their energy, but I will get signs from them to know that they're near. And I want to talk a little bit about signs. A lot of signs for me from my parents are music. There are certain songs that will bring their name into the song. There are songs that are very familiar. I've got several that I have on my arm that remind me of my mom or my dad or the two of them together that help me to know when they're coming through. I can be at work and a song will pop on and I can say, okay, thanks. Thanks, Dad, for showing up, or thanks for the message, Mom. Thanks for showing me that you're near. It's extra special for me if I'm going through a hard time and I start to hear these songs. Often spirit can come through in other signs, other symbolism. You might hear, feel, see, know things. It can be so subtle. When your loved ones are coming near, it can be as subtle as a breeze comes by and it reminds you of your mom. It reminds you of your granny. It can be a smell. Certain smells will come through. I've sat on the couch in a living room before, just chilling, relaxing, maybe watching TV, and I got this campfire smell. All of a sudden, then it went away. I was inside. There was no fire going. It was someone coming through to me in that moment. So your loved ones can come through so subtly that a breeze coming through can be the reminder that they're near, or a certain smell reminds you of them. It could be a smell that's actually there, and it could be a smell that is not actually there. There are also ways that they'll come through with animals, often birds, butterflies, rainbows. There are different symbols that you will know remind you of your loved one. And I get the question a lot. I got this sign. Is it my loved one? I am immediate. Yes, it is. Because as soon as you think, oh, that reminds me of Granny, it is her. It is for sure her. She is letting you know by that simple reminder. You knew already in your system, that's why you asked. So when you think of your loved one and, oh, I keep seeing this red bird. I think it's my mom, but I don't know for sure. Yes, it is. It is her. So really bringing that in. It's also really helpful to talk to your loved ones. Talk to them. Let them know how you're feeling. The good, the bad, the ugly. They can hear it. It's a soul conversation. They are in another place. They have crossed over from this earthly realm. They are a consciousness They are in a place where there isn't this guilt, this fear, this shame, this blame. They have crossed over, moved forward, and can be in this other space. Can they tune into that information? Can they tell us about what they experienced here on earth, the relationship that you had with them? Yes, all of that is possible. However, they're in a different space and have crossed over and are able to see things from a different life, a different light. They often, I get the question about religion. I feel guilty for coming to see a medium because it's not okay with my religion. Am I going to go to hell because I'm seeing a medium? No, you have free will. Religion is man-made. Spirituality is open to us all. And it is a personal relationship, which can be a whole nother topic. But spirituality, this openness to spirit, to the oneness, to guides, to angels, is available to us all. And it's up to you what you believe. Because if it isn't in your belief system, that's okay. I want you to feel good about what you believe. And also, we're here to learn lessons. And that connection to spirit is proof that life continues on after death. And that's a big piece of evidence. That's a big piece of mediumship, is knowing that the evidence that we're bringing through, that no way could I have known this about you, about your loved one, this information coming through is specific to you, nothing that I could look up. That is evidence that life continues on after we pass, that we are moving into a consciousness. We are ascending our soul. This consciousness is ascending, is learning, is growing, is continuing on after this life, because there are many lives. And those lives allow us to learn and allow us to grow and allow our soul to continue to move through. To move through the realms of consciousness. And while I don't have all the answers as to where we move on to, there are many channeled sessions that I have seen, that I've heard, and things that I've even channeled myself as to when we cross over and we get this life review. Because we came here, we set our path, we chose our parents, we chose the lessons we were going to learn. So as we do this life review, we're able to say, oh, I did a good job here. Oh, I could have done better there. And it is a process of getting to evaluate this life, this lesson, this experience here on earth. So our loved ones are there on the other side. They've crossed over. They've reviewed their life. They are healing from what their experience was here and maybe other lifetimes, and preparing for their next project, whether it be staying and helping people on the other side. Maybe there's spirit work that they need to do, or maybe they are planning to come back and experience this life again. Because there are many times that we experience lives, and not just here on earth. I've seen lives on other planets. I've seen that for many other people as well. And I've seen lifetimes way, way back in Egypt. And it's fascinating, the soul evolution that we go through. And being your own medium allows you to tune into that for yourself. It allows you to talk to your loved ones. And I want to go back to that a little bit. Talking to your loved ones. It doesn't matter if you're talking to them in your mind, if you're writing to them, if you're speaking out loud, they get that message. And as soon as you call for them, they will come. You can also set boundaries. If you don't want people to come near, you can tell them that also. And I've seen both. It's pretty common. There are people we want to be near and we talk to all the time. They don't mind their consciousness. There is no time and space on the other side. So when we call upon them, we're not necessarily taking them away from anything. We're not asking too much to communicate with them. This is a time that allows us to communicate with them. And it also is a space where I recommend listening back. And the listening, as we've talked about, may come in a seeing, a hearing, a knowing, a feeling. And really allowing that information to come through can be very impactful when we're open to it. I'm hearing how? Well, when you're talking to your loved one, speak out what you need to say. Again, the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever it is that you need to say, be real, be raw, let them hear it, and then sit back and just breathe. You might find that there are things coming into your thought form that are part of the message. You might find that you hear your own inner voice. You might find that there's a memory that pops up, whether you see it, whether you know it, whether you're hearing it. You might find that those things start to pop up in your mind. That is how spirit can sometimes speak back. And sometimes it's this overwhelming feeling. It might be this overwhelming feeling of love. It could be an overwhelming feeling of gratitude, of peace, of calmness. Like all of these are ways that spirit can speak. It's not always so verbal in your ear. It doesn't always sound like their voice. For me, it sounds like my inner voice at times. I remember the first time I realized it wasn't me speaking to myself. And this was a few years into my mediumship journey. I was driving. I got a message that popped in and I was like, oh, that wasn't me. That was one of my guides. And it was great to finally sense the difference because it always felt like it was my inner voice. And it can be hard as you're learning your intuition, as you're learning to work with mediumship. It can be very difficult to sense, is this just me? Am I making it up? Is this my imagination or is this spirit? Well, that's really something. But what I have taught is that our imagination and our intuition work hand in hand. Our imagination is really allowing us to build that visual. It feels like we're imagining it, but actually it's real. So you aren't imagining this friend, right? How many people had imaginary friends? You aren't imagining that friend. It's likely somebody in spirit, whether it be a loved one or someone that was left in this space, this home that hasn't crossed over. Yes, there are spirits that have not crossed over, some that don't know that they've passed or went through a traumatic event. And there are mediums that work with crossing spirits over. I've done that myself. I've also banished spirits that weren't meant to be in a space that were not positive. And this comes back to boundaries. You can set your boundaries with spirit. When I began my journey, my first mediumship event that happened in my house, after I took the shower, I had the other scary experience that happened to me where my bed was shaking. And if you didn't hear that story, it's in podcast 1. Please go listen. But as I had that experience, I was really scared. And I didn't understand what was happening. But I knew that the energy was big and I did not want them in my bedroom. And I did not want to talk to them or see them. And I was very clear about that because when it's dark, our other senses are dulled. And so the feeling for me was heightened. And so I would just clearly say, do not show yourself to me and back up, back the fuck up, like get out of my space because it was unknown, it was scary. And this carried on for many years. Even through, as I was studying, I would say, don't show yourself to me. I'm not ready for that yet. I can feel you, please back away. And I was really very clear on, you're not allowed in my room. You can't wake me up from 11 to 7. And for many of you intuitives, boundaries are important. I know this is such a beautiful gift and we want so much to learn it, to have it all now. Give it to me now. This is pretty common. I hear this a lot in people that I I've taught is I want it all now. Well, I promise you, it comes in time because there's a learning curve. And sometimes it's just wide open. But even when it's wide open, there's a need, because even when your intuition is wide open, there is a need to close it down and say, hey, I have to sleep from 11 to 7. And saying, you're not allowed in my bedroom, you're not allowed in my shower, wherever it is for you that actually you need to turn it off, set your boundaries. And this goes for daily life. We should be setting these boundaries. But for those of you working in mediumship, in the intuitive, and how do I shut it down? You can, you know what? I'll go into an exercise about that, because you can choose to open it and you can choose to close it. So let me just share a little bit about opening and closing your channel, because you need to be able to walk through life and not constantly be on stage or feeling like you've got to receive messages or deliver messages, because even in that, there's a boundary between me and you. You didn't ask me for a reading. It's not my job to give you a reading right now. Now, my channel is always open. And also, I'm not waking up because Spirit knows not to wake me up. Spirit knows when I'm open to readings because I set up appointments. Spirit knows when to come in. I do receive information about people coming to see me somewhat early, but they know, and I will tell them, okay, well, come back. I'm going to sit with them at 2. Come back to me then. Thank you for letting me know you're ready for this reading. So it is important that you decide what works best for you. So opening up your gift, you can think about bringing that energy from the center of the earth. And as you breathe in, you're bringing that energy up through your legs, up through your chakra system, through the root, through the sacral, through the solar, through the heart, the throat, the third eye, through the crown, opening your channel. And the chakra system is like a vortex of energy. So it starts smaller and vibrates wider as it comes to the crown. So you've just opened up this energy and you've said, Spirit, I'm open to receiving messages. And then if you're sitting one-on-one with someone, or you're opening for yourself, you're inviting them in. When you want to close down your channel, it would be important to ask to be cleared of any energy that's not yours. And then you can visualize that light closing and turning off. Okay? So you're actually closing your crown chakra so it's not so wide open for Spirit to bring that divine information and light in through the crown and through the body. As a channel, you are bringing Spirit close into your body. You are feeling them, you're seeing them, you're hearing them. They are coming so close that they can often utilize my body. I didn't realize that I pulled Spirit so close that they would step into my body until a teacher of mine told me that. I had the opportunity to work on stage with Janet Nohavik, and after this platform mediumship event, during this event, I had a reading with a sweet girl in the front row, and her father was coming through, maybe grandfather, I can't remember right now. He came through and gave me lots of information. And during that, my body shifted and changed. After this platform event, Janet came up to me and she said, you took on Spirit completely. And well done, she said, and showed me how I really brought through Spirit through my entire body. Spirit is able to come so close. And this isn't in any way a bad thing. This is a beautiful thing. And also, you've got complete control of this human body, of your spirit. Because what I allowed to happen was, while my spirit's still here, I allowed their spirit to come in as well so that I could deliver the information that was needed, so that my physical body and their spirit were connected, but also our minds are synced up. So their consciousness and my mind are synced up so that I can get that information and deliver it. And what a cool thing that my teacher was able to show me. What a great gift. These two teachers, Janet and Mavis, were such a blessing and such a gift to work with. And I've had some other great teachers that I know I'll share with you along the way. But I worked with these two women and they showed me that I had this ability and this gift and to continue on. I never expected to be a medium. This was not something that I was looking to do. In fact, I thought I was going to be doing musical theater most of my life. I thought I learned how to work on stage to sing and dance and act and be on Broadway, and I know that I could have. However, my path took me another route. And then I get into Arthur Finley, and I knew immediately, oh, all that musical theater work, all that stage work was to do this, was to offer mediumship from the platform to deliver these messages. And speaking of boundaries and delivering messages from the stage, one of our favorite mediums these days, Teresa Caputo, is a wonderful medium, and she does platform mediumship from the stage. She also, in her show, offers readings to people that she meets in the grocery store. I don't recommend that. And also, I love what she does, so I'm not doubting anything she does. But I don't recommend for the mediums that I teach to give messages in the grocery store or to someone that they don't know unless you've been given permission. And there's another boundary. You didn't give me permission to read you, so it's not my job to connect to your loved one and bring it through. However, I know many mediums that are in the grocery store getting messages from people and asking, what do I do with this information? I recommend you tell that spirit, hey, I'd love to give that message to this loved one, but I need you to guide them my way or to another medium, because that person needs to give you permission. You don't want to go up to somebody in the grocery, give them a message, and they don't believe in that. Their religion, their belief system, they have no idea what's happening. They've never had that done before. So it can be shocking. It can be surprising. It could even be traumatic. There are some spirits that people don't want to hear from, and they need to be able to say yes or no. However, if you really are feeling the call because spirit is nagging you, then ask permission. Hey, I'm a medium. I have someone that tells me they're here for you, and I wondered if you'd be open to listening. You need to decide for yourself. You're the channel, you're the medium. You need to decide that, but always asking permission. I even do that in sessions. Hey, I have this information coming through. It feels like a big deal. Are you open to it? And still asking for permission. It feels so important that we're setting these boundaries, not just in mediumship, not just with our intuition, but in many ways with people we're talking to in communication. And communication, this is what we're talking about, is while mediumship is communicating with spirit, we've got this communication one-on-one in this human world that is important to sense even more. And that can open up the psychic sense of things when I'm opening my energy to a friend and we're sitting together and we're tuned into each other's energy of, hey, I have something to share with you. Is this a good time? This boundary, this communication is so beautiful. And it is tuning into another spirit because they are a spirit, they are soul. So where can we become better communicators? Where can we learn to communicate here and communicate with spirit, communicate with our guides, and to listen and to receive? Because the receiving can sometimes be difficult. I hear often like, your guides say you're so stubborn. You aren't listening. I'm like, I'm really trying. I'm trying. So there are times I'm so busy or not paying attention that I might miss a message. Even being a medium for almost 10 years, that I might miss a message. So where can you listen? One, you can open up your energy and set the intention that you're ready to listen. And also you can sit in meditation. You can do breath work. You can journal. Automatic writing is a beautiful way to connect with spirit. And I have clients that do that often. A great way to do automatic writing is to sit, take a deep breath in, a deep breath, and take a breath in and out. Have your pad of paper, your pen. If you're sitting having your tea or your coffee or your cacao, having all of your things near and just relaxing, taking a deep breath in and calling in spirit, whether it be a guide or a loved one, maybe a specific loved one that you're wanting to communicate with, and ask them a question. Write out the question and then just start breathing and allow yourself to write what comes to mind first. As soon as you have to sit and think, well, what's next? Your message is there. Read it. Read it. If it doesn't make sense, that's okay. You've done the work. You've automatically written what came to mind. As soon as you have to sit and think about it, that's when the human mind is coming back in. So that's another way of connecting with spirit. Also, dream work. Dream work is a beautiful way for spirit to come in. You know those dreams when you wake up and you feel like your loved one was with you? Those are real. Your loved one absolutely was with you. While they speak often in symbolism, in readings, in dreams, they may not, while they speak in symbolism, it may not always make sense. So I wouldn't recommend overthinking it. You know, spirit can bring through the message and show you an apple. And that apple might have a significant meaning for you, but also think of the other things that symbol can mean, because an apple can connect to teachers. It can connect to NYC, New York City, the Big Apple. It can connect to health. So they speak in symbolism often. And that's something to keep in mind, that these signs and synchronicities that are showing up for you, that you're wondering, is this my loved one in spirit? And I say yes. As soon as you think, is this them? Yes. However, if you're confused about, is it this one or is it this one? Then you can ask, Mom, if this is you, show me again. Allow me to see that. And see how quickly that sign shows up. Yes, it is okay to ask for signs. Yes, it is okay to ask for them to help you in life, to be near, to be close. Please guide me. It's also okay for you to connect with your angels and your guides and call on them as much as you need. They cannot intervene unless you ask. So ask them. Sometimes I have to ask for grace and ease in my daily life. Allow me to have some grace and ease today. It's been a hard week. Hey, be with me. Allow me to have love and compassion today. Hey, show me what I need to see today. Show me a sign that you're near. I often see hawks, and I know for sure that that's a guide. I know for sure when I see a hawk that they are showing me they're with me. Whatever I'm thinking about or worrying about, they're trying to allow me to see. They're trying to show me a sign to say, hey, we're with you. You're on the right path. Keep with it. And the other symbols that are coming through for you, be curious, be open, and discover what it means for you. Because when I bring through a message and I say, hey, Spirit's showing me an apple, I'm connecting to it in this way, and it feels like they're saying you're a teacher. And that person is a teacher. Awesome. Or the person's like, no, but I do know what apple means. We had a special connection around apples or apple trees. But that person will know what that meant. They had a special connection. That meant something specific for them. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to me. Sometimes a reading won't make sense to me. The information won't make sense to me, but it's not meant to, because it's not my loved one. It's not my information. It's for this person. Usually they'll understand what it means. And again, in a reading, the evidence is such a big piece. If you're sitting with a medium, the evidence is how you know for sure your loved one's coming through. And I do want to say there are things that spirit will not share. I've found many times, especially in connection to my mom, that there are things that she won't bring through to every medium. And that comes along with a couple of things she has before. And Arthur Finley, she came through really, really powerfully with a lot of information. I was really impressed by this student medium that was presenting platform mediumship and brought through some pretty specific evidence of my mother. And that was one of the times that I knew that things that were written and thought were received by them. And my mom brought through a message of this heart, and there was something written to her, and it wasn't mine, but I brought this message home, and it was my cousin had this letter, and it was either to or from my mom, but it was something that she showed me that she received written information. And so I knew that our loved ones could hear us, could get the words that we're writing, that were a part of our lives. And my mom's come through also really big recently when I went to an event and got to experience mediumship through a spirit box, which is pretty dang cool. It's my first time with that. You know, I do have evidential mediumship connecting to the loved one through energy, but she came through a spirit box. So that's a cool thing if you ever get to experience that. And, you know, this information that she did bring through to a couple of mediums, she doesn't bring through to every medium. In fact, she doesn't want to talk about it at all. She'd like to talk about other stuff. So know that sometimes your loved ones aren't going to bring through the information that you want. Sometimes they're going to say, no, I don't want to talk about that. Let's talk about something else. Let's talk about these memories. Let's talk about these items that we're connected to. Hey, let me answer your questions that are coming up. And while I love you is a beautiful message, it's not always that. You know, sometimes the message isn't I love you. Sometimes it's something else. And so tuning into spirit and allowing those messages, those memories, those synchronicities, those items, those smells, those tastes, to really be a message from them. I had a group reading a few years ago when I owned Healing Within, a healing center here in Louisville, Kentucky. I had five or six people in the reading, and they all sat in a chair. I want to say there was six. They all sat in the chairs, and they were pretty quiet, and I was delivering these messages, you know, and I did my reading, and at the end, they started to pull this paper out of each pocket. And they were like, she hit my word. She hit my word. About half of them, I hit their word. So spirit in some way had brought the word through, had channeled the word through me, which was really cool. And also not what I recommend when going to see a medium, although that's up to you, you know. But, you know, typically going in, be open. However, you know, there are many times I've heard from people, I told my grandma if she's coming through that she's got to give me this specific sign. They don't always. I love them to. I want them to. I'm open to it. And also, sometimes they don't. Sometimes the evidence is something different. Mediumship's a beautiful gift. And if you haven't had a reading, I recommend that you schedule a reading. I have readings open for the rest of this year. I've got my availability open. You can click the link in my bio to my website and click book now. You can also book with other mediums. I know some amazing mediums. And if it's not me you're seeing and you need a referral to another, I am always open. I'm a fan of connection and lifting other spiritual beings as well. I feel like we're all here to support and uplift and be community. And if I can't help you, I hope that another medium can. And I would be open to it. It can be a beautiful thing to connect to loved ones in spirit. And oftentimes I'm connecting to the higher self, to guides and angels. So a channeled session can be really, really insightful and such a sweet gift. Being your own medium, talking to your loved ones, connecting with them in dreams, such a beautiful thing. So be open to the signs that your loved ones bring you. Be open to the information and the symbolism that's coming to them, that's coming to you through dreams. And when you feel your loved one, when you just get a hint, a reminder that they're near, yes, they are. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to connect with me further, you can follow the links below to my Instagram, to my TikTok, to my website. You can book a reading, or you can come sit with me in a ceremony. I have monthly cacao ceremonies to connect in community, weekly breathwork sessions, and you can connect with me also one-on-one in sessions, in breathwork, in ceremony, and with sacred medicines. You can find all this information on my website, and I'll see you for the next episode of At Home with ChaChaMama. Much love.